What stands out about their run defense when you look at Jets?
Really, their personnel up front. They're strong up front, and the D-line probably jumps out at you.
What about Jamal Adams? What makes him special as a safety?
Great instincts, plays with great speed and passion, really, but instincts and his ability to find the ball is impressive.
Is it hard to account for when you have a safety getting the number of sacks he gets? Is it harder to account for that as opposed to maybe a front seven guy who's coming? Or
I think there's an awareness now. He's made himself an aware player. Not that he wasn't before, but certainly you need to know where he's at on every snap when you're throwing a football, because he's shown the ability to blitz the passer, and we've seen it on tape. He takes a lot of pride in it. If you read any of the press clippings, I think he takes a lot of pride in that, and he plays sometimes outside the boundaries of what they're trying to do defensively. So he's certainly a player you need to be aware of.
Is that, if you know it's coming, can that be an exploitable thing if they're bringing defensive backs out of, out of an area where they would be?
Well, again, we're aware. We do our homework in terms of the blitz packages that we've seen from teams. But as he said, he's kind of a little bit of an unorthodox player, and that sometimes he's allowed to do his own thing. So when you hear that, then you know that certainly there's someone that you need to be aware of on every play, because within the structure of their defense, he could bring it at any time. So we're always going to be aware of where he's at.
Do you see Gregg Williams' imprint on this defense? And what are just the characteristics of a Gregg Williams defense?
Well, I think it started in New Orleans was my first exposure to Gregg, but certainly there's a lot of similarities in what he was doing then. But like every good coordinator, I think he's evolved over time, but certainly it's an imprint that he started when he was in New Orleans.
I don't know what did you make of is the right way to ask it, but Derek's yards per attempt really skyrocketed over the last 4 or 5 games. Is there something about the efficiency or the way he's throwing that's allowed you guys to take yards?
I don't know if it's that, Scott, or just the fact, again, that he's now in his 6th year. And we always talk about the comfort within the system, with John's system. And I think a lot of guys sometimes look at that and say, oh, that's just coach speak. But in this case, I really believe that's part of it. I think he's very comfortable as a quarterback right now in this system. And he's got some good pieces around him. And I think that's another piece that people overlook, is that we do have some good pieces around Derek Carr. We feel real good about our offensive lines. We've talked about Josh Jacobs running the ball really well. We've got some receivers that have made some noise. So I think it's just a combination of a number of things. But when you look at Derek Carr, and there's a lot of qualities that set him apart from other quarterbacks, we feel, but his preparation really is second to none. So that's where it starts with him, and he's just really taken a hold of this offense.
Where have you seen Hunter Renfrow make the biggest strides the last few weeks?
Confidence, maybe it's a big part of it. I think he's now confident in that he can play in this league, and not only play, but he can excel. But getting catches early on in the season for a young player, I think that boosts their confidence. He's getting a better feel for the coverages that he's going to see at this level of football. So there's just a variety of things, but I think confidence probably more than anything else.
You guys have started, I think, the last 5 games off with on the first offensive position with a running play to Josh, and they've all gained yards, some of them a lot of yards. And everybody watches that, so I'm sure you'll change that up. But still, when you start off the game with a good hard-nosed play, does that mean something? Get gains yards.
I would say to our team it does.
Yeah.
We take a lot of pride in running the football here. I think we would say as a staff, it starts up front. And it starts with Josh Jacobs. He's what we'd consider our bell cow. And again, not to slight the other runners that we have on this team, but we believe in Josh Jacobs, and we believe in what we have up front. And there's a deep-seated belief that when people tell you that they're putting a front out there that you can't run against, our guys are blind to that. So we're going to run the football, and sometimes we'll run it early. We're going to let it know, but by the end of the game, we want people to know that we are going to run the football.
With considering the way these guys have played the run, that's kind of the acid test for that
whole
philosophy this week.
Yeah, so impressive. Again, you look at the statistics, and their play backs it up. They're not hollow stats. They're again very front. The sound or the scheme is very sound in what Gregg's doing in terms of trying to stop the run or stopping the run, which they have done this year. So we'll have our work cut out for us, but really we're up for the challenge.
Greg,
I know there's an element of not in your control when it comes to penalties, but as the games get more and more important now, what kind of conversation do you have about trying to limit the conversations, and can you when it goes from referee to referee?
Well, you do, especially we put a huge emphasis now really on our coaching technique. Number one, each coach, the running backs, offensive line, tight end coach, across the board, technique in terms of some of the holds that we've gotten. But really, a big focus for us is the pre-snap penalties, and those are ones that we can eliminate. The pre-snap penalties, more than anything, has been probably the most disappointing. So we focused on eliminating the false starts, illegal formations, illegal shifts, and then it's cleaning up the technique for the other ones.
11 games in or so, do you have some evidence on what they're calling as far as the hold and the new holding?
Yeah,
call?
we get a report. Again, Jerry Austin works for us here, and he provides us with a report each week on the officiating crew that we're going to have and their history of calls that they've made to try to help our players on what they can clean up. But and again, every refereeing or officiating crew is different, but we do try to educate our players on what this specific crew has called in the past. But it's more than anything, really, it's coaching the details for each position group.